That is an astonishingly stupid thing to think. To look around at the whole history of humanity, the way that we've spread around the entire world, colonized every part of the earth, different climates, produced incredible things, ended diseases. But no, consciousness, I have no idea what purpose it serves. It's just like a noise that, I mean, that is a great example of the sort of reductionism that scientists tend to fall into, of just thinking that the only way to understand something is breaking it down into its parts. So the only way to understand consciousness is just by looking at neurons, basically. And then, the neurons aren't conscious, so consciousness either doesn't really exist or it's just a kind of meaningless effect. And of course, if that were true, then if really this is supposedly materialist viewpoint were accurate, then a brain in a vat that was fed the correct nutrients would have all the same consciousness and ideas that we have. A person brought up outside of society would have the same ideas that we have. And also, people 10,000 years ago would have the same culture and ideas that we have, because our biology hasn't really changed at all in that time. Evolution has stopped working because of civilization. It doesn't really apply to humanity anymore. So we have the same biology. Therefore, we would have the exact same idea. If all consciousness is just like the bile secreted by a liver, it's just a kind of fluid that, and there are other people who suggest it might be a fluid that the brain emits. I mean, it's ludicrous. So, yeah, these are like people who think that the most scientific and accurate way to understand a statue, a particular, let's say there's a statue of a political figure, would the most scientific and accurate way to understand that statue be to examine its, the rock composition of it under a microscope? And well, actually and that explains why. No, the way would be to understand the history of that society, the politics, the social structure, etc., that would cause somebody to make a statue of that particular politician. Is the best economist somebody who says, well, the reason that you get economic crises, or the reason why this country's richer than another, is because if you look at the notes of their money under a microscope, you'll find that it's this way, and that's what, obviously it's ludicrous, right? That is not scientific at all. And this kind of problem of materialism is not a new one.